good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great week so far. I just wanted to make sure we jumped onto another session, go over the market, see what the markets have given us during the week, and really make sure that I'm answering any and all questions that you guys may have as well. But what's good? I got, who's this already? Joetta. What's good? Good morning, Joetta. What is good? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just wanted to give it a couple seconds, let everybody else join onto the call as well, kind of just share the link out to our groups and everything as well. But good morning. Today's Friday, right? Am I losing my mind real quick? No, today is in fact Friday. I'd be losing track of time sometimes. It's crazy. But yeah, being today that it is Friday, we'll be able to go over some things, kind of identify the moves that the market has given us throughout the week, see what has developed, and kind of game plan leading into next week as far as our trading is concerned. Obviously, if there is, excuse me, if there is any potential trade opportunities for today, we can look at those. I personally don't do a lot of trading on Fridays. The volatility within the market's really not that great. You're not looking for, that big of moves. You're only really looking for small moves, if anything. So as far as entries for me, I probably won't be finding anything. But if there is some trades, maybe we can actually place those so that way we can make a little bit of profit before the weekend. But what's good? Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, again, everyone's having an amazing week. We'll get started here in a second. But for anybody who is currently on, if you have any questions, if there's something you don't know or you need help with, rather, feel free to let me know. I am taking a look at the chat below, so I'll be able to answer any and all questions that you guys may have. If there's any specific markets you would like for me to take a look at, also feel free to let me know. I'll make sure that I go over those for you guys as well. Again, I just want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance, really helping you all understand what is needed to become profitable, and identify, excuse me, identify the tools that we use, how to use them, so that way you can remain profitable. Let me see what we have here real quick. Good morning. What's good? Nova. My man Nova been on like every single day, if I'm correct. That's what's up. That's actually, I appreciate that. Again, for the people who are on, I know that this is a very small community for right now, but the more that we do these sessions, the more value that is produced for you guys, the more this will grow. So I appreciate for the individuals who are on currently, even though the community is not big, I appreciate you for being here from the very start. And then I can't wait to see how this is all going to transpire in the future and see how this grows along with you alongside us. So I appreciate you guys. Let me see what we have in the chat really quick. What's the coordination between gold and DXY? What's the correlation between gold and DXY? It's very simple. So gold is the actual metal, right? Gold itself is the US dollar's reserve. So being that if the US dollar said, you know what, I can't be strong anymore, then we would have to use gold as our currency. So the correlation between that is when gold is selling, meaning that it's depreciating in value, that means that the dollar is actually gaining more strength, is more valuable during that time, and vice versa. If gold, as you can see here, is extremely bullish, like we look at this time frame really quick on the 4 hour at least, you can see that the dollar was weak. It was losing value. So anytime gold is up, that means the dollar is weak. Anytime gold is down, that means the dollar is strong. That is the correlation with gold and the DXY. And that's why, for the most part, I take a look at gold first, because as you guys can see, we're trading the New York session. I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to the markets that are going to be more volatile during that time or the session that I'm trading. So the most volatile or the more important pairs that you would want to focus on are in fact US cross pairs. So I'm always taking a look at gold, because if I see that it's rising, if I see that it's buying, then I know that I'm going to go to Euro USD or GU and start to look to buy those, and go to USD CAD or USD CHF and start to sell those, because obviously we can see what gold is doing. So that's the correlation. It's really good to understand what gold is doing to understand what other markets are going to be doing in the future too. So yeah, that's the correlation between the two. Very simple. I think with trading, we always think things are very complicated. There's some guru answer or like a bank master's answer. No, it's the most simplest concept. You know what I mean? That is our reserve. We need something, to back up our dollar. It's gold. So gold pushes up, dollar weak, gold's pushing down, dollar strong. So yeah, there's your correlation between gold and the DXY. But yeah, any other questions you guys have, feel free to let me know. Now that we're actually on gold, I did want to take a look at that, so that's a perfect segue into identifying what could potentially happen with this. Now, if I'm correct, there is some U.S. news. Again, today has been a pretty news-heavy week, but the news hasn't really given us a strong effect in the majority of our markets, so I would say that we can pretty much trade this as we normally would. So right now, since we are here on gold, I do want to take a quick look at this. So I'm going to delete everything, mark this up as from very top to bottom, start to finish. So I'm always going to make sure that I'm scaling out to a higher time frame because I need to understand the overall trend, the overall direction, what this market is doing. So I'm scaling out actually to the weekly because I want to look left to get right to understand exactly what I'm looking at here. So if I look left to get right, I can see that we are in fact at a level of structure. Now, just because we're at a level of structure doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it has to be respected. It's going to, you know, be used as a level of resistance, but I will mark this up because this is a clue that the market is leaving behind. So we can mark that up as a level of strong structure. I'll just put structure. I need to put my contacts in because I am blind this morning. So if I misspell some things, I do apologize. So that's just simply structure, resistance, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be the same thing. So what I am seeing though is even though we are looking very much at a level of resistance, I'm actually going to not delete it. I'll just move it down here really quick, get out the way. There is somewhat of a break already. So let's actually look left or get a little bit more focused to right here. So you can see how the market could not break above these previous highs. It tried, but you see how the bodies of the candles could not break above. The wicks tried to breach above, but came right back and closed below that price point. The reason why that's important is because we're already, at least on the weekly time frame, so that pretty much today has given us a small breakout so far, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's a breakout right now. You know, later on today, that market could come right back within that level of structure and close below. But currently, we are seeing somewhat of a small break above, right, with this initial candle. Now, the reason why that's important is because it is, in fact, coming back to a previous level of structure. If we look left, it did, I'll break it down a little bit more detailed, right? So what was over here? So I'll actually do this, so that way everybody sees it. So we can see here that the market created a level of resistance here, a double top. And you can see how that market continued to push down much lower. Now, if we play this really quick, we can see it did in fact not just break above, but it came back right there to retest that level of structure. What happened after that initial retest? It started to buy from that point. Why is that important? Because it's already kind of giving us the idea that buyers are still very much in control, and it could be the starting steps to break above this level of current resistance. Even if we scale down to a smaller time frame, being on the 4-hour, we're already again seeing that idea. So we already have the retest of previous structure, and we're now getting a very simple pattern that the market just loves to leave behind, an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So let me do this really quick. So you can see left shoulder, head of the pattern. It looks a little wonky, but that will be the right shoulder, and that will be the break above the neckline, and not just the break above the neckline, break above previous structure and the retest of it. Just a very simple concept. So we're looking at right now that gold, right, since we were looking at the correlation of what gold is doing or what gold is with the dollar, and we can see right now that we did in fact on gold have a break above a neckline of an inverted head and shoulders pattern. We can see that we have retests at that point. We can now dictate, especially with news coming out in a little bit, that there might be, now that we have a lot more confirmation of what this market wants to do, that it might in fact want to buy. So right now, if anybody's looking at gold, do not place a trade on this, but this will be considered a buy kill zone. Okay, make sure I'm looking at that correctly. So buy kill zone. We can obviously add our other forms of confluence, which in this case on the 4-hour, 1 hour doesn't matter. It will be the same fib ratio or fib tool measurement. You can add your fib tool and then identify not just the fib ratio, but where is that fib ratio at? Is it at a level of structure? We can clearly see it is. So being that we're at a level of structure, being at the 23.6, that might mean, especially being the 23.6, we might have a very strong impulsive move to the upside. So depending on this, I might actually go ahead and start looking for buys on gold right before news comes into play, which is very risky. I know we kind of got away with that yesterday, but I don't want to like risk it again twice. But this does in fact look like strong buys. So while we're on this call, if we can't get something like this, I'll delete that. If the news comes out or if anything happens, we come right back to this level of structure, I will be looking for some potential buys from that range. And that's just to start us off with. Welcome everybody. I know a few other people have just joined onto the call, but this is just me going over gold. Somebody had asked me what was the correlation between gold and the dollar. I had explained to them that, you know, obviously it is our reserve, or the US dollar's reserve. So whenever gold is up, that means the dollar is losing value and vice versa. So I wanted to make sure that we did our analysis here on gold as well. And there you go. So let me see what we have in the chat really quick. What would you consider as your top 3 entry confirmations? Dylan. No, I'm just kidding. If anybody understands that reference, you know, if you know, you know. My top 3. I mean, that's a very vague question because it's not something. I'm looking for top 3 confirmations or I'm looking for something specific. All I'm doing is basing my entries off of my analysis. That is it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people have the misconception that, you know, you have to have the moving average cross between each other, and then when you get to the end of the rainbow, you got to talk to the leprechaun, you know, to get the pot of gold, and then you wait for the mayonnaise to cross over the ocean like a market maker method. You know, there's none of that. All you're doing is basing your entries off of your analysis. Now, obviously, there's going to be confirmations that will dictate the direction of your trade, right? So if you're like, well, I want to buy, where am I going to buy from? That's all you're doing. All you want to do is identify where you're going to place your entry from. Where is the market going to buy and sell from? That is your entry confirmation. That's it. You're not going to just look for a doji candle, then after the doji, you're going to wait for the moving averages to cross over. After the moving averages cross over, you have to have the touch of this. If you start doing that and you start looking for specifics and only those things never happen, you're not going to place a trade. So I'm never looking for anything specific. I'm only identifying where I want to place my trade from based off of structure and where all the confluences meet together, such as a trend line, fib ratios, and candlesticks. As you see, that's all I'm using. Fibs, support resistance, trend lines, candlesticks. That is all I'm using. Those are my confirmations. So, for an example, let's say in a perfect world, we have a beautiful trend line moving to the upside. And it's already been confirmed. We already have our 3 touches. So we have something like this, right? The market is moving and it comes right back down to your level of structure. That's a retest of your broken structure. So what used to be resistance is now a level of support. Well, what else could happen there? So if you have you should in a trending market have a fib ratio there. So let's just say in a perfect world, I'll just, so we could, keep it in the sense of education. Perfect world, we have the 61.8 or any fib ratio, just ironically the 61.8 right now. You have level of structure, you have your fib ratio. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sick, so I do apologize if I sound crazy right now. So you have your fib ratio, you have your level of structure, and you have your trend line. So those are 3 levels of resistance or support in this case, but those are you're just stacking your probabilities together. Now, all you're going to wait for is the market to develop and see, well, does it look like it's rejecting from that point? What would be the confirmations? The last one, candlesticks, right? All you're going to say is, well, the candlesticks don't seem as, or the market doesn't seem as if it wants to continue to push below that level. So if you're saying, how can you determine that? Wicks equal rejection. So let's say we have candles that are just, within this area, but they have large wicks to the downside. And it looks like that. You just have wicks just rejecting. That's a strong indication that sellers are no longer welcome. That level of structure, fib ratio, and trend line that's being respected is valid. And you're basing your entry off of that concept. You're not basing it off of I have to have 2 dojis and a bullish engulfing. You're only identifying what the market leaves behind the clues. So that's to answer your question. There's no top 3 confirmations of what I'm looking to enter. I'm identifying my entries based off of the analysis and the clues that the market is leaving behind. I'm not doing anything else. Because once you start looking for those specifics or you start complicating things and you're like, well, I have to have this, and that. If it doesn't line up, I don't have an entry. You're going to miss opportunities. Your entries should be based off of your analysis. Always. Point blank, simple. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense. I think that's what helped me in a sense for a really long time. Like I thought that, You know, you had to go down to the minute time frame. Like, I see it all the time where people are like, what time frame do you enter off of? And it's not, again, I'm not basing my entries off of a specific time frame because you have to use them all. I'm basing everything off of my analysis. I always thought that when you scale down to the 1 minute time frame or the 1 second, you get this wick entry. You could take a standard lot size on a $50 account and flip it to $20,000 in 15 seconds. Like, that's not reality. But what is reality is if you could just pay attention and say, well, if the market made a move from here before, so i.e., just in a perfect world right now, again, this is not something valid, so please nobody, you know, place a trade on anything. But you can see right here, ranging market. You have your resistance high, you have your support low. Just using common sense, where would your entry be based off of? Right? Just look at it. You don't have to have any specific other, or you can, obviously you want to have other confirmations, other forms of confluence, but just using common sense, you're like, well, that's an ranging market. What other confirmations do I need to even place to understand where the entry is going to be? It's sold from these from the range high previously, right? It's probably going to sell from there again. What could be confirmations? Like I said before, wicks to the upside or wicks in general equal a level of rejection. You can see that that level of resistance was just currently rejected. What could be your confirmation or the reasoning for a potential trade? Well, you see the rejection. You can see that's a potential double top as well. You could probably sell from there to here. You know what I mean? Just as very, I'm not saying do that, please do not, but it's a very simple concept. You know what I mean? Like you're not supposed to overanalyze, you're not supposed to go crazy and have a bunch on your chart. Just keep it simple like that. So again, your entries are based off your analysis and what the market is currently giving you at that time. So again, if you're in a ranging market, like right now, you can see that that resistance high is being respected. Probably want to sell from those highs, right? If you can see that the market comes right back down to this level of support, and you see that it has bought from here before and you're already in a buyer's market, so the probabilities are even higher in your favor, what could you do? You probably want to buy from where the market has bought from before, right? So again, your entries are based off of your analysis, not anything specific. You should use every aspect of what the market leaves behind. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I know you're probably like, no, it doesn't. You didn't tell me anything. I promise you I did, because again, when you get so caught up and locked up thinking that there's only one specific way of doing things, you're not going to be able to adapt when you need to. That'll also help with the psychology aspect, where it'll help you realize that trading is not as difficult or as hard or complicated as a lot of people presume for it to be. So yeah, hopefully, I know that's going to help. You know what I mean? You're probably not going to be like, well, if he's not looking for specific confirmations, I know now that there's going to be multiple ways of going about it, and there's going to be multiple, entries in the market, because there's so many different confirmations the market could leave behind, or clues that the market could leave behind. That'll tell you an entry. It could be based off of fib ratios. It could be based off a trend line. You don't even have to have a fib ratio or a trend line in general, like how you saw on the ranging market. You could just trade it. So it's always specific what you're looking at. Like, just for a perfect example, like right now. Let's say I was looking for, I'm looking at Euro GBP. So obviously I'm going to go into a higher time frame. And if I look at anything, what is the first thing I'm going to try to identify? The trend. So on this time frame, it's more in a range than anything. So really not much of a strong idea of, buyers or sells, or, to stay strict in one direction. So we can kind of manipulate this market and say, well, if we can see that we can identify let me actually go into the higher time frame. You can see that, we do have, and I'm just going to draw it here. I do not want my zones this fucking giant. I know there's a high point there. All I'm doing is using the most common level of structure that was, had the most amount of action. As you can see here, resistance over here, resistance here, resistance here. Again, I just don't like my zones that giant. That's ridiculous. But I'm just going to put a zone right there, just that way we have something for a visual. And then obviously you're going to look at the level of structure down here. Now, the reasoning on why this is important, that I can even get rid of this, to be honest. The reason why this is important is because I know I'm on a higher time frame, but just to kind of like identify the reasoning behind entries, or to break down the market, to identify the clues, to then see an entry, because there might be an entry that I saw here on Euro GBP. This will kind of give you an idea, right? So being on a higher time frame, you always want to, again, identify if the market is trending, bullish or bearish, or obviously in this case, it's kind of like in a range, because you can't really consider this a consolidated market. That would be a huge consolidation. So we're kind of like in this range. You can see, again, range low, range highs. But all I'm focused on is right now that the level of structure, so support, has been respected. And again, the reason why that's important is because how can we determine that this market is, or this level of structure is important and also respected? So we go, just so that way you guys understand the reasoning on why I'm identifying these levels of structure. If we go ahead and replay this, you can see previously that was a level of resistance, right? The market could not break above. We had wicks rejecting until the market said, you know what, now the grass is in fact greener. And we did break above. That break above that level of structure is still very much important, because what it does is it validates the fact that, one, it was in fact being held as a level of resistance. And it's also important because the market decided to buy from that point, meaning that it had to make a decision at that price point, meaning that in the future, it'll make another decision when it reaches there. So what ends up happening if we press play, you can see how this market decided. Let me actually go ahead and see if I can speed this up really quick. Well, now it came back. So you can see how it came back, respected that level of structure, and started to buy from there again. So if we go ahead and let this play out, what's probably going to happen again? If it reaches that price point, it's probably going to buy from that level of structure once again. So as you see, it already gave us that idea. So we already have a buying initiative. We can see again on the higher time frame that the level of structure has been respected. We can see our confirmations that buyers are wanting to take over through our candlestick development, bullish engulfing, bullish engulfing candlesticks, wicks to the downside. When we now scale down, because again, we're looking to identify the clues that are left behind that can identify an entry. So if we go ahead and we scale down to the next corresponding time frame being the 4 hour, because we were at the daily, now we have to move to a smaller time frame to get more detail to understand if there's an entry. Excuse me, I apologize, everybody. I'm super sick, so I sound crazy right now, so I do apologize. But again, I'm scaling down to a smaller time frame to get more detail to understand where I want to enter. Again, I'm not basing my entry off of anything specific. I'm basing my entries off of the clues that the market is leaving behind. So what are some of the clues that I can actually identify? Well, I know that right now this level of structure here is based off of daily being a strong level of support. If I go ahead and eliminate this might make a little bit, or seem a little bit easier to see. At that level of support, we have a double bottom. That's important. Why? Because not only has that double bottom been broken and respected before, actually, you guys probably can't see that. You can see how it's been broken to the upside, came right back to this level of structure, and respected it. And we're coming right back to that same level of previously respected structure. So, simply put, support. Now, why is that important? Because if we look left to get right, is there any other clues that we can identify? Again, I'm basing my entries off of analysis that the clues that the market is leaving behind. If we look at this, I know it looks a little weird. Market loves leaving these behind. A simple inverted head and shoulders pattern. Even though it did come back below the neckline, that's still very much a valid pattern. So what can I do? I can see that, well, the level of structure that was previously respected is being respected again. I can see on the 4 hour time frame currently that this candle does not seem as bearish as previous candles, right? You can see how these candles were extremely bearish, and it's now leaving a wick to the downside, meaning that sellers are not as strong, and especially reaching that price point could be the idea for a potential entry. So we scale down even further, being the 1 hour, I was gonna say the 1 minute. So we try to identify any more confirmations. Now on the 1 hour, we don't have any buying confirmations, but this is now when you're going to say, well, I saw on the higher time frames moving down smaller to get more detail, a potential level for an entry. Now the confirmations in this situation, because you don't have a fib, you don't have a trend line, you don't have any patterns as of yet, your last confirmation in this situation would just be candlestick patterns. So for me, now because I'm looking at this as a potential buy range, so we'll go ahead and chalk this up as a buy kill zone. Now that I'm identifying this as a buy range, again, because the market has bought from here before, you can see how it bought from here, started to shoot to the upside from there. I want to see if it could do the same again. So we can actually replay this right now, so that way you can kind of see what you want to identify from a buy range. You see how these candles here have large wicks to the downside, cannot break below the level of structure that we were previously looking at. And you can see how we have a strong bullish engulfing candle from there. That whole segment is a strong indication of an entry for a trade. So those candle development could be an indication. So yeah, I mean, that's just me breaking down something. I didn't see any other questions, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys that information, or from Amanda Nova, the confirmations, if you will, for a trade setup. And it's all situational, because you're not always going to get the same thing, but you always want to identify, again, the clues that are left behind, and that's kind of like how you do it. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If anybody's confused, feel free to let me know. I know I did kind of go over a lot with that, but that's just to kind of give you guys as much detail, kind of answer questions without you guys, asking, because I know a lot of you guys just pay attention and listen, which is cool. But yeah, any other questions that you guys have, feel free to let me know. Any other markets you guys want me to take a look at, feel free to let me know as well. I want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance and really helping you guys out. Give me 1 second. Now, if anybody hasn't had the white Red Bull, I swear to God, you should. This is like the best one. So, I don't know if you heard that, but New York City's loud as fuck. First thing in the morning, everybody like screaming outside and shit. So yeah, living in the heart of the city in New York is loud. So, if you guys hear any background noise, I do apologize. Welcome to New York City. But yeah, let me actually go ahead and see. Now, if I'm correct, let me actually go see if I did put out. This was a trade that I gave out yesterday to legacy students. I'm not too sure if I put this out for you guys. Let me actually go ahead and see. I did not. Okay, so I thought I actually put this out for you guys in the Discord as well. Apparently I didn't, so I do apologize. But yeah, I mean, I did actually want to see if there was a trade setup on GJ. Our profits were hit on this. We actually had 2 trade setups on this, and I'm not even joking. Our previous entry was all the way up there. Perfect entry, not even joking. That was our previous entry, and then as you can see here, this is yesterday's entry. Call it that immediate push to the downside. It was absolutely gorgeous. Now we can look for another idea. Now that our sells have been, pretty much hit, or take profits rather, we can now look for some potential buys. I'm just identifying this level of structure or this low point, because if I can now see, any candlestick development, any bullish initiatives from here, as you can kind of see, we almost had one. This almost turned into, with these 3 candles, it almost turned into a Morningstar candlestick pattern, but this not being bullish engulfing enough did not actually, create that. But we can start to see that there is some rejection or some buying momentum starting from here. So I do want to identify GJ leading into next week from this point, at least for some counter trend trades. Counter trend, very self-explanatory. I'm seeing if there is any buys in a seller's market. I'm going against the initial trend. But the reason being is because if we can identify a correction from here, meaning that we can go from here to, let's say, another previous level of structure or another sell point, I'll then go ahead and do exactly that. So no buys on GJ just yet. I wanted to see if there was something we could do with it right now, but as of right now, I don't believe anything, we should do anything. But I do think within, depending on how this candle closes, I do want to see if it can close more bearish. So it gives us a potential idea for a more prime entry. Excuse me. If I do see this push down just a little bit lower, back down to here, I might go ahead and take the risk and place a buy on this, only because my trade setup would look something like this. My stop loss would be extremely close, and then my take profit, obviously risk to reward, would be in my favor. But yeah, I'm not doing anything on this as of yet, so please, nobody go put a pending or nobody go buy this as of yet. We have to allow the market to really show us that it wants to buy from here, especially when it's been such a strong sell. You don't want to go against that right now, but just kind of reaching these lows. I know I'm kind of cheating because I know the market's down here. These are the lows down here, but if we scale out to a higher time frame, that could leave us a wick. And if that leaves us a wick to the downside, that can show us even further rejection, confirming that there might be some strong buys from here. So just want to identify that really quick. You know what I want to see? Oh, my man Hess. What's good, Hess? I got you. I'll take a look at US30. Did you check out gold already, bro? Sorry if I came in late. You're good, bro. Yeah, I did check out gold already, but we'll take a quick look at it again. Right now, there's really nothing. You're looking at a very ranging market. I mean, we understand it's bullish. This whole overall market is bullish. We know that. But as of right now, you can see that there's no volatility. Again, we do have news later on for the US dollar. actually within a few minutes, if I'm correct. I think it starts at 8:30, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. But yeah, you're just in a ranging market. You're not doing anything. So you're in a range. I can't spell, my bad. I don't have my contacts in, so it's like so hard. Let me actually get, there you go. Ranging. So we are in a ranging market. So us being in a ranging market, you're not going to really do much. You're either going to sell from the highs or buy from the lows until either end is broken. When we have a break below, that'll confirm sellers, or if we have a break above, that'll confirm buyers. That's all you're doing. Again, when you're in a market or you see something like this, you don't want to overcomplicate it. You don't need to start going to the 5 minute and start seeing what's happening. No, we can clearly see what's happening. Not enough volatility, especially leading into news. So we want to see what happens. I personally understand that we are at a level of structure here, this resistance point. But with how strong gold has been, with how weak the dollar is being, or the news releases going pretty much against the dollar, I would honestly think this will continue to be bullish overall. But yeah, as of right now, you're more in a ranging market, and we need to see what happens. If market structure is respected, meaning that these lows are, why is my tools not working? There we go. If these lows are being respected, or that market structure there is being held, then buyers are going to take over. We'll see a break above. But the time that I see, if we see an immediate break below that, cancel out all buys. You're only looking for sells at that point. So yeah, that's my idea with gold, but we do have to let this develop a little bit more, let the news come out, and see what we initially get. Thoughts on GJ? I think I just broke that down if you were on. But yeah, I'm looking. Let me actually get rid of this, so nobody thinks we're trading that right now. We are at a level of support. So us being at this level of support, there could be potential buys, but a short-term buy. But that's just a corrective buy leading into a potential sell in the future. Now, to answer this though, because I get the question all the time, what do you think about thoughts on GJ? What are your thoughts on GJ without me? Oh, I kind of already answered it, but if you're looking, yeah, no problem, Brian, I got you. If you're looking at a chart, right? Let's say you're looking at a market without having to do anything, and you're just looking at it like this, what would your thought be? Probably to sell, right? The market is probably bearish. And this is not to sound to sound contradictory or sound rude or disrespectful. This is me being extremely real, because I tell myself this every single day. Use fucking common fucking sense. Call a spade a fucking spade. That's it. Right? And again, that's not to sound rude. I'm generalizing that statement, because I think a lot of us need to hear that, because that builds the confidence and also helps the psychological aspect when it comes to trading. Call a fucking spade a spade. Because if you can say, well, if I'm looking at this, what are my thoughts? It looks like a sell. You're probably fucking right. Right? Because if you can clearly see that it's selling, you're probably going to want to sell some more. That's where the money's going. You're not going to be the only person to be like, well, you know what? Everybody's selling GJ. Let me go buy. I know I was looking for a previous buy, but we're not doing anything on that, because it is risky to do that in a strong seller's market. So you kind of have a lot of you kind of answer your questions. And this, again, not to sound rude, this is what you should be doing when you're trading. You're answering all of your questions by doing the most simplest thing, taking a fucking look. That is it. Before you mark up a chart, the first thing you do is you just go onto it and you're just like, okay, let me look at this. And then you start finding the details. The first detail you should identify is, well, what is this doing? It's selling. Once you identify the direction, the trend, where the money is going, 50% of your work is done, right? 50% of your work is done because you know where you want to go. You're like, well, it's selling. Okay, where are you going to sell from? The other 50% is just identifying your entry. How do you do that? Identify structure, fibs, trend lines, candlesticks. That's it, right? Just like how we spoke about before, previously, a little bit early on this call. So GJ is very much a sell, right? Very, very much a sell. I do believe there might be a correction from these lows leading into our next sell zone. If we mark this up even further, just so that way you can get even further, confluence. I can't even see. There we go. I got it from my contacts. You can see that, right? And again, just a level of structure. So I'm just marking this up because I didn't want to fully mark it up. I kind of want to do this on Monday, because that's where the actual trading will be. Why is my son FaceTiming me? My son is randomly FaceTiming me because he wants me to play Minecraft with him. So I don't even know. He's probably even watching this. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's watching this right now. Julius, do your damn homework. Wait, no, they're on spring break. Never mind. Yeah, all right. So yeah, I can see that again. We have a break of a level of structure. We have our trend line break here as well. You know, there's a lot of other factors that can identify an entry. I'm not trying to identify entries as of right now, but that's your full markup, right? But the one thing you always want to make sure you're doing is don't mark shit up and just use common sense. Be like, okay, well, yeah, that's selling. I don't see any buys. Like that's really it. You're like, okay, well, I can see that previously those are the highs, but now that bitch is all the way down here. That just small concept of, you know, just identifying the simplicity will help you a ton, I promise you. Because a lot of us are always like, well, this is oversold. It has to buy. My RSI or my stochastic screams oversold. That's never the case. There has to be reasonings on why you're doing something or why a market wants to buy. You don't have that instance right now. You only want to look for, I wouldn't say only, but you want to look more for, you know, the high probable setup, which is just sells. You know what I mean? So yeah, GJ sells all around. EA looks nice for a buy. Thanks, bro. Thanks. Yep, no problem. I got you. So let me take a look at US30 real quick. I know everybody wants to take a look at US30. Hess, I don't even need to answer that. I literally just jumping onto this. So Heslin, my mans. So real quick for everybody, real quick, so nobody thinks I'm being rude or mean. The person I'm talking to, my boy Heslin, that's my actual homie. We served in the Army together. So me talking shit, don't think I'm being rude to anybody. That's my guy. But Heslin, if I'm correct, you're a smart individual. You're probably selling this. Am I correct? Let me know. Let me know if you are, in fact, selling US30. Because I think I have an idea that you are. Now, as I wait for that, because there is a delay within the feed, so I'll probably get that here in a second. But if you're selling, I already know where you're selling to. You're selling down to these lows. This would be your entire zone, obviously taking into account that. That'll be your entire zone, but to be very specific, we'll get rid of this and just identify the lows down here using this line. Just again for keeping our chart very clean. We don't want to have too much monotony going on our chart. Just keep it very clean. But yeah, let me see real quick. Heslin, so you are selling, all right? If I'm correct. So yeah, if you're selling, bro, you're absolutely fine. Hold that trade. Depending on where your entry is, try to move. I hope your entry is somewhere over here. You know what I mean? I don't want you selling from down here. But I know you're a smart cookie, my guy. I know you're smart. So you're probably selling based off of in case anybody wants to know the reasoning, look at that head and shoulders pattern. I mean, the market just screams these at us almost daily. So you have a head and shoulders pattern. If I'm correct, your entry might have been off of the right shoulder or the price just right here, the actual resistance points. If that's the case, you're perfect. Let me see. I'm stuck kind of waiting to see if there's a buy from where it's at now. No. So good thing you told me that. You are not buying here, right? Because if you look left to get right, even though I know that this looks like a nice level of structure here, it's not. Look at the time frame. It's a week time frame, 1 hour. So you want to be able to identify these lows. Now, the reason being is one, you can already see the head and shoulders pattern. That should just show you that in this case, this head and shoulders pattern is not a reversal pattern. It's going in the direction of the current market, right? We can see over here that started this, that initiated the sell. The sellers wanted to take over. The head and shoulders pattern is considered a continuation pattern, right? Because it's following the current direction of the market. That head and shoulders pattern and the break of your neckline here confirms that there is no fucking buys and you selling that bitch. You know what I mean? You're not going to look for anything. You're going to buy from the most relevant level of structure or the most relevant low. These price points that we identify is not just support and resistance. The market gravitates to these prices because that's where previous moves were made. And in order for a market to make a decision, it has to make it at those points because that's where decisions were made from before, right? I know I'm repeating myself, but it's very true. The market has to make a decision from where it made its mind up from before. So if you can see here, that's where a lot of buy, or I wouldn't say a lot of buys, but you can see where the majority or strong buys have occurred. It's going to reach these lows, right? So identify that because right now you're in what you would call no man's land. meaning that there's no structure to the left. There's nothing stopping this market, this current sell, from stopping, right? It's just going to continue until it reaches an actual barrier, right? So until it reaches an actual barrier, an actual support zone, it's just going to continue to sell. I wouldn't say continue. It's not going to just be like, oh, straight down. You can get your corrections. You know what I mean? You're obviously going to get, you have a strong impulsive move. There could be a correction, but you don't want to chance that because what you're doing is you're going to, excuse me, again, I apologize. You don't want to try to measure out, say, oh, well, that's the lowest point. No, never try to identify a reversal. Always try to identify the continuation because that's where the probability is, continuing where the money's at. So I wouldn't say there's any buys on this as of yet, like at all. Your buys will be coming down to here. So this will be considered your buy zone here on US30. So I would say strong, like very strong buy kill zone. There you go. So strong fucking buy kill zone. So Hess, that's what you're looking at, right? So if anybody's in US30 for sells, continue to hold those sells. We can see again that head and shoulders pattern giving us a strong indication that US30 is in fact wanting to continue to push much lower, and it's not going to stop until it reaches a significant price points. As you can see here, these lows would probably be your best bet. Obviously, if this level structure is broken to the downside, meaning that if it just says "fuck you, I'm out," then you can obviously identify no buys at all, and for that to continue to push much lower. But I do think that in order for you to identify and see a buy, it has to reach those lows, or at least within that price point, anywhere within this zone, right? So Hess, sit on your hands, don't do shit, don't place any trades on this, don't place buys. Because if you lose on US30, even with a micro lot size, you're still losing a lot of money. So no buys on this as of yet. You're only going to look for buys when you reach those lows. So hopefully that helps. I've still got a sell in from yesterday. What's your what entry? What's your price on that? So real quick, my man Heslin has literally been fucking killing it on US30. If I'm correct, you had a Where was that entry that you had? If I'm correct, you had like some crazy fucking sell. It wasn't from yesterday. It was from like a last week, if I'm correct, where your sell was just, even I was impressed. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because we're grunts, we're infantry, so our favorite flavor is window. We're not supposed to be getting these good entries. You know what I mean? So when you showed me that, I was like, holy shit, that was really, really good. So all that means, Hassan, is I think you have the concept of trading. I think you understand how to trade very accurately. You just need that confidence builder. So yeah, I think once you get over that little psychological hump, you'll be solid. But you still got, okay, yeah. But yeah, any other questions? Anything else you guys got for me? Feel free to let me know. Again, I want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance on these calls. I want to make sure that I'm really helping you guys, really teaching, educating to ensure that you guys are becoming self-sufficient. You can place your own trades, make your own profits, make your own money. I think that's really important that you guys are able to do that. Even though I have like an automated situation, auto trader signals. I always try to preach to anybody that there's no software, there's no auto trader, not my auto trader, not my signals, not anybody's software or platform could make you as much money than yourself, right? Because even if I send out signals, even though my students are they feel very confident. I mean, our trades, we do have stop losses hit, we do lose trades, but like for instance, for both GJ trades, I mean, they were bangers, right? So the confidence in our trades are very high, but they would make so much more money if they were just like, you know what, I have this trade set up, this is my thought process, this is my idea, I'm going to go ahead and place a fucking 10 standard instead of, 0.10, 0.10, and make way more money with with that confidence level. So it's really important that I help really educate, really help you guys become confident within your own trading skills and your own trading journey. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. Hard to juggle everything on my phone. Oh, you're good. think it was around 32,470. Let me go back to US30 real quick. You said 32,470? 32, oh my God. Oh, dude, yeah, don't fucking get out of that. That's a beautiful trade. So real quick, for anybody who's wondering, we did have, my man said that he had a entry for US30 at price 32,470. Oh man, yeah, dude, don't fucking get out of that. Hold that trade for dear fucking life. Do not get out of that. No, that's a beautiful trade, dude. So if anybody's wondering, somebody in the chat has said that they placed an entry from that price point. I just wanted to take a quick look at that really fast to see exactly, what they kind of like should be doing, kind of like navigate. No, dude, all you should do is have your stop loss, especially at this point, fuck a break even, have your stop loss in a profitable situation. So meaning that you want to move your stop loss to a price, let's say, I wouldn't put it here. Since you're all the way up here, I would say put your stop loss around this price point, the right shoulder price, if you will, just in case the market does something like this, wants to come back, retest the actual neckline a bit. So that way you're not kicked out of your trade and you can still catch the rest of that move, being that it'll look something like that, right? So yeah, don't get out of that. Do not get out of that. And do not buy either. Keep that sell. Don't try to double dip. Be like, oh, I got the sell. Let me go ahead and look for that. No, do not. Don't try to give back the market some profits that you already have been making. No matter what lot size you have, I know you're making a few thousand. So, mazel tov. Let me see real quick. Yeah. All right. So it doesn't seem like we have any other questions or markets, but yeah, if you guys have anything, feel free to let me know. Again, I really want to make sure I'm speaking on relevance, really helping you guys to the best of my abilities. But if you guys have nothing, then we're good. I might have a few trades up. I'm not too sure if the auto trader actually took the trade that I was looking at. There might be a few trade setups, and now I know that there is news coming out, but I mean, I just realized that if I'm correct, I have a personal trade from over here that I completely fucking forgot about and has a really big lot size. I gotta check that here in a bit. Is that can't be in the auto trader? I don't think it is. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of like looking at this. That's 100 and something pips already. That's actually kind of crazy because there's been a few times where I'm just like, fucking, I'm just gonna place a big ass entry, or a big ass lot size, and keep my stop losses really tight. And I think if I'm correct, I still might have this on one of my accounts running. If that's the case, mazel tov to me. Christmas definitely came early if that's the case. I just wanted to see if there was, if it did in fact come to my initial zone that I was trying to identify. Right now for Euro USD, it has. Again, all you're seeing is I'm identifying levels of structure and the reasons, or the relevant levels of structure. Why is this a relevant level of structure that I'm identifying? Is because as you see right now, after a strong impulsive move, after the strong sell, it's going to have a correction. I wouldn't say have to, but usually what happens within the markets is you get that initial retracement. Now, can there be a buy in a seller's market? Absolutely. So what I want to see is if this, didn't mean to move that, is if we do get some continued respect from this range, I'll then go ahead and look for some potential buys from here, leading into our sell range, which would be right there. Again, I'm just identifying relevant levels of prices and then identifying the clues that are left from there and seeing if the market wants to make any decisions from there, because those decisions equals profits. So let me see real quick. All right, seems like a lot of you guys are good. Real quick, thank you guys. We have a lot of people on right now on this session, so I do want to extend my gratitude to every last one of you all. You guys can be watching any other trader. You're here with me, so I do appreciate that. If you have gained a lot of knowledge, not just within this session, but the sessions that we do throughout the entire week, do me a quick favor just to help grow this community based off of transparency, tons of value, obviously a lot of education. Go ahead and like this video. I promise you it helps myself and all of you guys more than anything, because I make sure that this is advantageous on both ends. I do these sessions more along the lines because I have to be trading anyway. I have to look at the charts. This is my profession. I have to make sure that students are making as much money as possible, whether it's through signals or an auto trader. So I want to make sure that not only am I making them money, I also make sure that I give back to the trading community, give you guys that same knowledge and reasonings on why we find profits within the market, so that way you guys can do it as well. So if you guys can, definitely like the video. It goes a long way. The more viewers that we get, the more questions and more interactive that the sessions become, the more time that I'll spend on these calls, the more value that I'll be giving out to you guys as well. Again, I just want to make sure that I have an audience to present these things, and it starts with you guys. It definitely helps, so thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we have too much from you guys as well. I'm just making sure I'm taking a look at the comments or the questions if there is anything. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, gripes, complaints, concerns, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude here in a second. Again, I just want to make sure that, because we do have news coming out in a little bit, so I want to make sure, like literally 2 minutes. So I want to make sure that our auto trader's fine. Make sure that we're good. We're good. Like we are up nice this week too. I think we're just about almost 600 pips caught for the week. And that's just through our EA. It trades automatically for us, trying to keep drawdown relatively low. So a lot of people are just like 600 pips, that's it. Yes, it's completely hands-free, so can't really complain about it. I definitely can't. Even though I sprinkled some of my own trades in there just to, expedite some profits, everything has been working really good, but I want to make sure that we can remain that consistency. So yeah, if you guys are good, we'll end for today. So it does seem like you guys are solid. I don't see any questions or anything in the comments or the section or anything real quick. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back first thing on Monday morning. For one thing, everybody, thank you guys so much. I can't, express how grateful I am throughout my trading journey. It's been an up and down ride, but the one thing I can say is that you guys, the viewers, no matter who it is, whether it's my students or just anybody who has followed the legacy journey, you guys have made this amazing. So I do want to say thank you guys to every one of you guys. Even if this is your first session, I know it won't be your last, so thank you for staying consistent with myself. So somebody said USD/JPY, too late, bruh. We're gonna end it right now, man. We're gonna end it right now. So we'll catch back on first thing Monday morning. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys. I appreciate you. If there's anything that you guys need throughout the week or anytime, feel free to let me know. I'm always available. So yeah, thanks guys. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Tell somebody you love them, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks guys.